Greetings. I had hoped to make videos outside, but it's rather windy today. So found this rather interesting location. It sort of highlights the difference between nature and man's interaction with it. For example, that bench down there, it's wood that has now been fashioned into a seat. And of course, because it is no longer living, if it is not maintained, it will start to decay. It's a very interesting contrast as well. You can see the speed the clouds are moving, the interaction and the waving of the trees, the artificial 3 fountains there as well. There's 3 what would appear to be puzzling quotes or recurring themes in Scripture. The first of these is "Let thine eye be singular," Matthew 6:22. If you think about this, it's what you see in your mind's eye. That is the single eye. I can do nothing of myself. On the face of it, it sounds a very strange thing to say. And then there's the sins of the father, the sins of the fathers, and the generational sin from Exodus, Deuteronomy and Numbers, amongst other passages. All 3 very interesting sort of sayings which I'm going to use to explain a few things. So, let thine eye be singular. If you want to understand the concept of this, which I'm sure those of you that listen to this channel are already at that level anyway, there's a wonderful audio book, Dr. George W. Carey, The Tree of Life, which has been narrated in half-hour sections on Ark of the Covenant channel. I'll put a link in the description. I recommend having a look at that. It explains it very simply. I was listening last night also to the Puppet Master's portfolio from Observation Deck. You want to see what's going on in the external world and how everything is all sort of controlled, then look no further than there. Very easy examples you can look at yourself and check out for yourself on that one. And then there's a wonderful audio book, Rudolf Steiner, The Effects of Alcohol. Now here we do have the sins of the father, the sins of the fathers, and the generational sins. And it's beautiful the way Rudolf Steiner explains this, particularly towards the end of this video, and I'll put the link in for this, that he doesn't tell you whether to do something or not do something, but he just presents what is for you to then make your mind up on. And he uses a wonderful illustration of how if you have alcohol and then you have draconian measures such as prohibition, it doesn't work. It becomes like the unnatural laws of man. It becomes restrictive, when a far better way, rather than having this prohibition, is to let people evaluate things for themselves. And it's not necessarily yourself that is affected through alcohol, as Rudolf Steiner explains. In males, it affects the white corpuscles in the blood, and the effects of that can come out in the following generations. So it may well be that if you have some physical impediment or ailment or some sort of condition, it may well be that, even unknown to you, that you have an ancestor that was an alcoholic, and it has been passed down through the generations in the physical experience of it. But remember that you are a spirit having an experience at some point you have agreed to come in to have this experience with all these little what are perceived to be obstacles and things that get in your way, but they're actually very easy to overcome when you see them with the right angle, the right angel. An angle is a perspective, so if you're seeing it from the right perspective, through the right angel, the right angle, it then all makes sense. Everything about this external reality is beautiful to me. It makes perfect sense. Even the negatives, I can see why it is happening the way it is. So before I go on to the last bit, which is my own testimony, oh, how beautiful. Now the sun is coming out. The external reflects the internal so wonderfully, and we've got blue skies reappearing as well. It started off beautiful, then it became very overcast, and now it's starting to brighten up. Anyway, so I've digressed a little bit here. I think one of the biggest problems that we've got is this system programming of thinking of God as a male or as a father. It's very much like this cycle of a tree. It basically works in the same way as magnetism. You've got a positive outward and a negative return. But we mustn't be stuck with this label of positive and negative in this sense. It's just an outward flow and an inward flow. So one of those pulses will be the overall life of something like a tree, something organic. It goes through a period of growth from a seed to its maximum, and then it goes through a process of decay and it returns to earth again. There's other interactions that were shown to me as well. You've got the whole root system, and that follows the same cycle. You've got the energy and the interaction between the top of the trees and the ether, and this whole electromagnetic spectrum. You can see the trees, but to see the trees you also have to see the spaces between the trees. And when you start seeing things and the interaction of things in nature from that perspective, it does change your perspective on things. Getting tongue-tied there. So you've basically got, as Christine on Dream Universe channel has explained, you've got the spirit, you've got the organic, and you've got the intellect, which is the soul. You've got two different ways of doing things, two polarities as it were. And it's within us as much as outside of us. So let me give you a personal testimony from yesterday. A friend of mine who's not in good health, the interaction in this external world, part of the condition is that she has to keep the garden tidy. So, okay, let's put God into action with this. All I've got is a pair of shears to use. Now it's going to take me, I would estimate, a good 8 hours solid to achieve this. But I thought, okay, let's put things into practice. Let's test this for ourselves. So I spent maybe, I don't know, a couple of hours. I've gone with no expectations for myself on this. And I thought, this is going to take a while, but we'll make a start. We'll see how we go. Then I've stopped and had a coffee. And it's, okay, let's kick the imagination into this. Imagine what it would be like if I had a mower to do this. How much easier it would be, how it would achieve something. As far as I'm concerned, at this particular point, I've got the visualization of seeing this grass completely cut and the garden brought down to a manageable level. So I've got this vision in my mind's eye, So I'm sitting there, I've had this coffee. I've then gone back to using the shears. Out of nowhere, it's not even a nearby neighbour, it's a neighbour from much further along the same road. It happens to be walking by and has said, "Oh, I've got an electric mower if you want to use that." So within half an hour, the imagination has become a reality. That is God in action. As explained on the last video, you can be given things in the material world. And a perfect example of this like an ultimate extreme would be someone like Richard Wagner with the Bayreuth Music Festival that still exists to this day from his imagination, his dream, his desire to create this building to perform his works. What I've done is a very small scale thing in comparison, but it's achieved it. I've gained my benefit, and the reason I wanted to do it was a bit of exercise for myself, and I'm also getting the natural vitamin D from the sunlight, and I'm appreciating the nature and being in nature. So I'm already gaining. Now I've used the imagination to feel what it would be like to have a mower. All I've done is held the feeling of holding the handle of the mower. I've not specifically visualized a specific mower. I haven't visualized whether it be electric or petrol. I've left that open, and I've not gone back to that. I've left it alone. I've not had doubt come in and gone back to it and worried as to why it hasn't happened, because I don't know the time scale of these things. But that only took half an hour to achieve, and I did gain out of it with no expectation. I got in appreciation, I got a lovely meal, and I'd also got the benefits of being out in the sunlight, in the nature. It was a wonderful experience, and it's a perfect example of God in action. But look at how that has come about. It is very much like we do anyway. You have a feeling in the conscious mind. Your subconscious will give you more of whatever you feel. Now, when you bring in the Creator into this, the positive thought, the outward thought, has come back very much with the divine feminine, the sort of nurturing side. It's not God the Father. God is neither male nor female. Just the same as you are neither male nor female in the mind, the two hemispheres. You have a male aspect and you have a female aspect. And you can use those together in harmony and in unison. So I thought that's a wonderful experience, and to me what is happening right now, this beautiful sun has come back out, this radiant energy. It's a joy to behold. On a final note, and I think this is a reason why the timing of not being able to create this video until now. I saw earlier one who is stuck very much in the external world, very much into the junk food, the PlayStation games and things like that. And what I was shown in the mind's eye was Tower Bridge under load, and then with the words, "the straw that breaks the camel's back." This particular person has had the first of the two intrusions into their body, shall we say. So that could be interesting to see how that develops. It would be pointless for me to even try and change the outcome of that. I'm just here to observe this. This thing is not meant for everybody. It's one by one. It's a narrow individual path, and it's up to each individual, each personality to find that. Not all will. Don't be disheartened. Don't feel that you're not here to save anyone. You're just here to save yourself. To return to source with this expanded consciousness from this experience that you're going through. So I can do nothing of myself. Well, my testimony, I can do nothing of myself. I can't do anything by myself. I am just the operant of this creator that is working through this vessel. And it is right down to every movement, every breath you take, the breath of life. We just have this personality that is tricked into thinking that that is what we are, and we're very much just purely tied to this realm and tied to this thing called time, when we are not. We are eternal spirits. So when you come through and see this from like a higher perspective, I can do nothing by myself. I can't cut all that grass unless I've got a lawnmower in, or not, without spending considerable time. I'd estimate probably it would have took about 8 hours to do it. But by putting that thought out there, how quick and how beautifully that came back and manifested as a physical object, as a lawnmower, to achieve that task. I say task, not in the sense of work, like, do I really have to do that? It was a pleasure. It was something I wanted to do. It was something I really enjoyed. I had that feeling of, imagine what it would be like to be holding the handle of that mower, that satisfaction. And that was achieved so easily. So I thought I'd just share how easy it is to do this. I mean, you can just take the sort of basic storyline of this and apply it to any situation in your own life. And if you can just see it from this new perspective, when you can basically see not just the solid objects, but see the spaces between solid objects. Otherwise we would not be able to distinguish them. It is all frequency. It is all held together by vibration. What appears to be solid to the 5 senses is just a very low, dense vibration. It's as Rudolf Steiner explains about the effects of alcohol. What that brings out, it's all lower level, lower chakra, desire, emotion. So it can come out as anger, it can come out as sexual desire. It's animalistic. It's heavy, so it pulls you down into that sort of leaden sort of state. When you're actually trying to go to the more airy, higher states, the spiritual realm, where the magic happens. Now, I don't need to look into how long any of these things take from when you imagine them and you put the feeling into that imagination to when they actually come. That's part of the miracle, the mystery of it. You could say that the mystery school is life lessons, what you learn in this life. When you see the wonder of the mystery, but you don't start picking it apart and trying to get to the bottom of it. That is a secret known only to one. That is what people call God, the Creator, Source, call it whatever you want. But it certainly isn't Father in the sense of a male being. It is Father in the sense of it is a positive force, and it is in everything. And you'll see the cycle in this physical world. It's an external background to play in and learn from experiences and share those experiences in the hope that it helps others navigate so they can navigate their path. It's all very simple and it's all very beautiful. And seeing it like that really does bring an inner peace. I can't put that feeling into you. I can only give you explanations and things and draw on things from what we call history as illustrations, but it'll come through experience, through experiencing these things, through testing these things out. You can believe in anything you want, but it is only a belief until you experience it. when you have the experience of it, you can testify and say, yes, it is. But there will always be those that are never going to believe you. Look at the Jesus story. They weren't all on his side in the spiritual story or in the historical overlays that have been applied to it. It's like I said on the last video, the let line I be singular. It's a reference to Odin, it's a reference to this King Isis, as much as it is a reference to the true spiritual mind's eye, that it's what it's really talking about. It's nothing to do with the physical world. But it has a play out in this physical world. How you interact with that, and what thoughts you put out, and what you want to create, that is entirely up to you. I would like to think that whatever you're putting out there is highest possible thought, and something that is not at the expense of others. But again, that you have the choice of what you want to experience in this realm. Anyway, as the sun has come out, I think I'm now going to go and do a bit more gardening, because it's fun and I'm out in nature. So I will wish you all a beautiful day and say ta-ta for now.